Okay, I'm going to throw my hat into this thing. I don't normally do this kind of stuff. I like to just do games and fun things, not work. But I've been seeing all this, and I just saw this expression on this gentleman, and I don't remember his name. He's the COO of Bricks and Minifig. I believe he is a McNaff, which would make him the brother of Eamon McNaff, Mr. Twirly Mustache, supervillain extraordinaire. That is, of course, speculative and not intended to be serious. This video is intended for educational purposes, blah, 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 blah. Okay. I saw this video on CoffeeZilla when it first aired, like an hour after it came out. And I've seen this one again with Asmongold about an hour after it came out. And man, this expression has been sticking with me and I cannot shake it. So I want to go over something real fast. The concept of the good cop, bad cop. And plausible deniability. Two very simple concepts that I think everyone can kind of understand. Yes, you want one person who can be the straightforward, honest guy, and one person who can solve things that happen to be messy. One is the good cop, one is the bad cop. The key thing there is plausible deniability. The good cop cannot know what the bad cop is doing, because if the good cop knows what the bad cop is doing, he would inherently have to report the bad cop. So there has to be a degree of insulation between the two. And good cop, bad cop is not just like a police investigative method. It works for everything. And when I see this expression right here, I see a man who is very tired. Everyone is acting like Bricks and Minifig is a sole entity, and from a legal perspective, it technically is. But please understand that the individuals within that company are not 100% on the same page as everyone else. They do not all know the same things. A COO is going to know very different things from a CEO. They're going to spend their day doing very different things. And when I see this guy, I just see a guy whose daily job is to look at spreadsheets, assess the spreadsheets, and then make decisions about the business based on spreadsheets. He's a number cruncher. I could be wrong. I'm more than willing to be wrong there, but that is what I see. In other words, a good cop. He is accurate, he is reliable, he's willing to go through spreadsheets with CoffeeZilla and discuss things like Bricks and Minifigs should have done years ago. And this is very important. This all should have been done years ago. It would have been simple. It would have been easy. Brian Mansell and this gentleman, the COO, could have gone through spreadsheets just like he did with CoffeeZilla, and they could have resolved this issue, found out that they were missing about $20,000 of goods, given him another $20,000, $30,000 as compensation. Dude, that is such a comically small amount of money for a large corporation. There is literally no measure for how stupidly small that is. That being said, $20,000 is still a very significant felony charge, and you are not talking about an insignificant money within the court of law. It is actually a very significant amount of money. So, law enforcement absolutely should have gotten involved. That is a very huge red flag, like incredibly concerning. Anyone who is looking at what the Fork Police Department, they should be asking questions, because the Fork Department apparently forked things up rather badly, and if you watch anything of their action, you would quickly realize there is some really weird stuff. I don't know much about Brandon Best, but I do know quite a bit about Joshua Johnson as we see him on the videos, and yes, it has been edited, but there is enough to suggest that he is not behaving in an honest fashion, especially with the redacted videos. Yes, those redacted police cam videos show he and Eamon McNaff, the CEO, are both acting in dishonest fashion. So now if I had to pick a pairing, I would pick Joshua Johnson and Eamon McNaff as the bad cops of the pairings. Yes, Brandon Best would be the good cop, and the CEO, something McNaff, is the good cop for the Bricks and Minifig side. Okay, and again, it is a very important that the two sides don't necessarily know the same things. This is how you do things and get them done in a way that allows an honest person to stay honest and act in a dishonest fashion. Okay? See, Brandon Best could go to Joshua Johnson and say, hey, we need to resolve this. This is an issue. And Joshua Johnson's like, hey, I'm on it. He calls up a cop buddy. Okay? We're going to get into that in a minute. He calls up a cop buddy. All you take is one. Just one friend in the cop police force, because you just need one cop agreeing with the narrative, and 99% of cops in the country will go along with that narrative. It is how law enforcement is structured to work. They don't care about whether that narrative is correct, and I know that is something that upsets a lot of people, and I know it leads to corruption. I have personal experience in this subject. That being said, it is how law enforcement works. Their job is to resolve issues immediately. Their job is not to resolve things legally. They are here to stop a situation that is happening right now and keep it stopped. And again, if you look at the Fork Department forked up, that is not what you see. You see people who think Reckless Ben is a criminal, and that all they have to do is kind of shake things up, and they will get criminal actions that they can press charges on him for. Okay? I often tell my kids, cops do not arrest major super criminals for the things you would think of them getting arrested for. Yes? Crime bosses do not go to jail for murder. They do not go to jail for drug trafficking, because they do not have any actual connection to that thing. Plausible deniability. Crime bosses go to jail for things that are stupid and simple, like accounting fraud or a speeding ticket. Yes, it is how police work. So when they're doing all this stuff with Reckless Ben, their goal is to push Reckless Ben into a situation where they can find something like that. A speeding ticket, a non-stop at a traffic sign, any number of little things. But they want felony charges, because felony charges allow them to actually do something criminal. And that is actually very much the important point. Again, Joshua Johnson calls a cop friend helps, steps in, he's helping out. Andrew McNabb is helping out. You see these three interacting, and you can quickly tell they are conspiring. Okay? It does not take a genius to figure it out. But, and this is the important part, because we've been staring at this man's expression for a while, and I want you to stare at this man's expression for a minute. That's the whole point. Because this guy is probably a guy who spends his days staring at spreadsheets. He does not lie. He does not make things up. He provides accurate, reliable information. Again, accounting types are accounting types, and they're a dime a dozen, and they're very predictable, and they're very reliable, and they like the world to work in a structured, orderly fashion. And so when you see him staring like this, what I want people to be watching is the expression of a man who is seeing everything we, the internet, are seeing, and realizing what it implies about the person he is doing business with. And he is realizing that they are a criminal. And this is an important distinction with the good cop, bad cop thing, because yes, the bad cop is a bad cop. Yes, he does bad things. But a good cop functions alongside that bad cop, knowing that the bad cop doesn't go too far, at least in their head. That is how this works. And the moment the good cop is like, wait a minute, you did things that you shouldn't have done. Why did you do those things? And the bad cop is like, hey man, you asked me to solve this problem. I'm solving this problem. That moment is on this man's face. I've seen it before. I am speculating. I am guessing. I am providing this for educational purposes, blah, blah, blah. Yes, but this is the expression of a person who has realized the person he trusted to get things done. No questions asked, because that's the deal. All right? The good cop knows the bad cop will push the rules. He will bend the rules. He may even break the rules a little. But in his mind, the good cop thinks he will not break the law. And now he is faced with the reality that his brother has committed numerous acts that are not just bending the law, maybe breaking the law a little. And when I say breaking the law, I'm talking about, man, minor things. Okay, hey, look, man, you did something suspicious, like a bad cop. Oh, he planted drugs on a drug dealer. Oh no! We all knew he was a drug dealer, so is it really that big a deal? This is the distinction of good cop, bad cop. And instead of, hey, his partner is doing something shady, he's realizing his partner didn't plant drugs on the drug dealer. No. His partner murdered the drug dealer, or attempted to murder the drug dealer. And all of a sudden, the good cop is going, me, I didn't think he would ever go this far. Again, just for educational purposes. You all have a good day now.